function with the mind of God. I heard a very interesting interview the other day. It was an interview of Jesse VENTURA. And he is a fascinating man. He used to be the governor of Minnesota. Fascinating man, very knowledgeable, very charismatic, very well spoken. And the gentleman, I think his name was Joe Rogan, if I'm not mistaken, that was interviewing him, was not too happy with President Trump. And he was saying, I really would have wished that you would have run. Because people were asking Jesse VENTURA to run, but he wouldn't run. He said, we hope that you run in 2020 because you would do much better than President Trump. You know, you're well-spoken. You may or may not be more knowledgeable. You're definitely a better communicator. And we'll vote for you. And, you know, I asked the Lord about that after I saw that interview. It hurt me, to be honest with you, that President Trump is putting his life on the line every day. And someone was talking about him like that. Well, we'll just get rid of you because you have a weakness and you put your foot in your mouth and whatever else we don't like about you. And you may get assassinated tomorrow if the Lord lets it happen. And you're just another candidate. It wounded me. And this is what the Lord said to me. I want to share with you what the Lord said to me. He said Jesse VENTURA would never win over Donald Trump unless the Lord left Donald Trump. And this is the reason why. We touched on this during the nomination procedure. Brethren, we have to learn to understand who God backs. If you are trying to decide who God backs by someone's behavior, you will fail every time. Because God takes people who frequently have behavior that are stumbling blocks. Behavior that is a stumbling block to many. And I'll tell you why Jesse VENTURA, very well-spoken, knowledgeable, he will never defeat Donald Trump so long as God is with Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump honors Jesus Christ. Jesse VENTURA does not. Do I condemn him? No, I'm telling you, he does not honor Jesus Christ. Two men. You need to understand this, that you cannot pick a man based only upon his human qualities. What did I see in Jesse VENTURA? Am I against the man? I'm not against him. Okay? He takes on the government. He challenges authorities. He speaks truth to power. But what about his motives? What about his motives? I see a rebellion in Jesse VENTURA. I see an arrogance in Jesse VENTURA. I see you've oppressed me and I'm going to get you in Jesse VENTURA. I don't see that in Donald Trump. Now listen, you're all screaming, what are you talking about, Sheila? That was the whole thing, he retaliated against it. Listen to me. Jesse VENTURA talking about political situations, talking about issues that have to do with government. Governments oppress people in this way, and Jesse VENTURA reacts to that oppression with a rebellious, arrogant, personal response. That's not what a president does. See? Donald Trump hit back on a personal level when he couldn't take the spiritual attacks. I'm not justifying what he did, but I don't see Donald Trump doing that on a national or presidential level at all. Donald Trump's motives are to serve the American people. To help the country, to provide jobs. And on a personal level, he has an infirmity. Jesse VENTURA, and I'm not against him at all. Okay? I didn't see that heart for the people there. I saw a heart for righteousness. I saw a heart for truth, but it was very personalized. It was all about him. See? Donald Trump's heart is for the people. He's a hero. and a deliverer of the American people. And it really would behoove everyone, especially Christians, to recognize his heart and not his mouth that doesn't work so well every time. And I lovingly rebuke every Christian that is not standing by him. And I rebuke you for your carnal mind, because you're not looking with God's eyes, and you're hurting God's candidate, wherever that came from, in Jesus' name. See, that man, he took, how am I going to say this? He may have never had any loyalty towards President Trump, but he was supposed to have loyalty towards President Trump, and he took it. He took that loyalty that should be going to President Trump, who's doing a fantastic job right now, and he gave it to Jesse Ventura, who is not nearly as qualified. He speaks better. He's a better speaker and probably more knowledgeable, but he's not a better candidate because of his lack of a relationship to God and his lack of a heart for the American people. His heart is his own heart. I hope I can explain that to you. I know that's wrong. I know that's, Lord, help me to explain this to them. When you know something is wrong, okay, but it's not Christ in you knowing that it's wrong, because your carnal mind can know when things are wrong. And it becomes a personal thing to you. And you're going to tell the government off, and you're going to show them up, and you're going to make marijuana legal, because it's just crazy that marijuana is illegal. It's just crazy that people are, this is one of his issues. It's just crazy that people are in jail for growing a plant in their backyard. It's just really wrong. And if I were president, I would put an end to that. Now, how do you compare that? Well, it could be an issue for a president, but I'm talking about his heart, if you can see it. His heart was at the heart of an individual. It was the heart of an individual. It was not a heart to do what was best for the country, if you can hear that. It's a very fine line. Can I try one more time? It's a very fine line. It's possible that a man who has a heart for the country can be looking at this particular segment of people and say, I think it's wrong that prohibition didn't work. It didn't work with alcohol, and it's wrong that people are in jail for growing some weed for their own purposes. It's wrong, and I'm going to liberate that segment of the community. Okay? That is possible. But it certainly would not be a top priority for the President of the United States. The top priority is immigration. The top priority is crime. The top priority is jobs. The top priority is getting rid of the death tax, which he says he's trying very hard to do. We'll see if he can do it. The death tax that says you can't leave your farm to your children, that the taxes are so high that your children that worked on the farm with you all their lives cannot inherit. The taxes are so high they have to sell the land to pay the tax. That's the top priority for someone that has a heart for the people, for the country. Not making cannabis legal. That's the heart. And I don't mean to be criticizing him, He has a right to have that as a passionate issue. I'm making a point. That's the heart of a rebellious teenager. See? That's the heart of a grown man that still has rebellion, that still has an issue with authority. If you can hear that. If you can hear. Although if President Trump were not available, I would probably vote for Jesse, unless the Lord showed me he had someone else. And the man has a spirit of righteousness, but it's not the Spirit of God. You need to be able to see that. Don't be put off by someone who talks well.